Hello, welcome to my channel. Here, you are going to watch Persian YouTube videos dubbed in English. This means any interesting content made in Persian will also be available with a new voice in English. The first video has been selected.
Let me tell you how I first met that website. I was 13. I was in my high school. I had nothing to do with someone. I had to do a corner, and a friend came with a certain stress.
Today you go home to close the door to no one, go to Google and go to Google XXX and you with a laugh that went down, and I was like that.
Let's let the XXX got the last ring, and went home to my room, and exactly what I said. I was sure I was picking up my cell phone on Google and search for XXX. Search and said go to the X section. I went to the images section, and it was the first inflatable to get to know the content of that shape, and we know what our mate was hypocritical. We closed that site, and we never entered that site for the rest of our lives. Why do we know this word? Let me say what really happened. Rook? Why? Real? Rook thought I found a treasure because when you reached puberty, then now there is no need to say more interesting things. And where do you find the material you find? And that, for example, in a movie that is now, for example, you have a supermarket dermis that was uncensored or uncensored, for example, or uncertain. A music video, for example, had posted a few PMC music video from a foreign berry. Now he had a private psychons, for example, a series of girls with the bikini of the material we were getting, and when you eat it, this site.
You found the treasure, the best thing life is now. Yeah, no more. Let me say what's going on, then what happens.
It's a bit, and you have a little caution to the site, and it doesn't seem to be a good time for your day. You don't have that energy anymore. You're a little different.
You don't feel good about yourself. Any way you look at yourself is a sweaty goblin.
And you don't know what's reason because 100% of that site is no longer all people do it. Even we were on Google, for example. The benefits of that site's website would say that not very good makes your heart beat up at all by butterfly and running at all. Well, 10 years have passed, and we know that. Was it a factor? The past 10 years, and now everyone has realized that the whole of that papagona and the nap that said that he is not good at me. One of the high school professors of Muhammad High School has the professor who, for example, with the students was comfortable saying goodbye to the new sites. I even remember their name. I remember saying no kids very well, by the way. It's a natural thing, and you have to see this content. And think of someone who is clamping in the content of a rhubarb, a distinction that is not good to go to his side. I mean, at all. Think somebody is addicted to a drug, for example, whether grass or cocaine, and you come and you are not good for your health, and at the same time. What is that side to go down, and now we have found us all now. The one who was our biggest enemies, and the only reason was so much a wave of lies that he was not very good at something, because of the owner of that site. And I mean the owner of that site is not the owner of the site, not the owner of that site, the home site of that home site, whose name is likely. And maybe not. 100% of the owner of that site is not powerful enough to read so much of a wave of lies in our heads. It is not possible to get so powerful. I have a question. I think you think. Porn, only, fanzine, a multi-million-dollar industry. You are likely to say to yourself now, I don't know if the $10 million of the dollar are likely to be a lot of this large industry. It is no doubt that it is no bigger one of the wires of the site, or there is no reason. The industry is more likely to be a few VB. The thing that made me do not have a $5 million industry. This industry is $100 billion. Not a $100 billion industry. And when you understand it, you realize it. The power of the people who are running this industry, how high are. And it makes sense why now if I tell you that 3 out of all 4 of them in the last week, such as seeing for me, see my rook, for example, even if you see you 10 people. We're not going to be shocked in the way that it is relatively very high, but it sounds logical. And it didn't horror because the industry is one of your biggest enemies.
And I have to say why? Look, many people think merely the loss of these wires is that it makes us more sexually transmitted. And that is a huge loss. But believe me, no doubt, the most harmful damage to this is just the losses that can be on your mind and physical carpentry, especially that the whole debate is that it is later to talk about it.
You're not going to be hard at all, just as scared at all, but let them.
My main loss to you. The basis for the other loss should be thoroughly reviewed in a long video. What is the main loss of these websites?
Some time ago I was talking about Dr. Alfcano Jia, one of the greatest people in the field of mind and psychiatry health, and one of the most respected people. The traffic was a lot of large celebrities and had a lot of illness and had a patient. What he was talking about was very interesting. The reason many people are addicted to these websites, which is not much of us, that is, many of us think that okay. The reason is the too much dopamine that we get, which can be hosted by a department, for example, seeing content. Or we think too much that it is not because our minds are thirsty and sexual content. But the most important reason that many are addicted to these websites is the reason for many of us addiction to that site is that that site has a way to escape. That is to say, one of the reasons that many of his patients were going to get to the site was that there was a time and a bad way to have good mental health. Somehow he was throwing their minds now for 5 minutes, or in the worst cash. And the problem is that the distraction is no helping. That is, Thai is even a bigger problem. And it's really true because you think about it. Let's imagine a scenario that you are on a day when you saw a good situation. For example, a day that you will wake up without alarm. For example, you have good energy at all. You don't go to your cell phone at all. You don't have rooms. You're talking to your family and your family. Everyone is saying they are reading about the memories of your past trips. No one in that scenario. You have to go now? No one will do it. No one is logical. No one can say what you know what's right now. I have a good goal now. I go to my room in my room.
We are not good mental health at a time when you woke up late. For example, at the first morning. For example, you went to a mobile phone.
You neither eat water nor out of bed. You were just there, you were just there. For example, why do I live like this as a nap? For example, chocolate breakfast. For example, a jerk. And because of that heavy lunch again, you go to Iniesto again, and then you eat it, and then you don't go to the card of the cards again. And for example, as you go to Iniesta, you are looking at your cell phone and looking at the course of how nonsense life is. I have no good feeling about this life where I go. The more it is going to be worse and worse when you are bad in that mood. A signal in your brain says go to that site. Go to that site, because you say another farther you go there for a few minutes. But the problem is that you are in a barbaric and evil cycle. You have no mental health through that site. You are going to throw you a few minutes. But then you give you a bad feeling again. Why did I do it? I had the same projector that I also knew the modem was going to go to this website later to get your mental image of yourself.
And because of that, it becomes a motivated person to become more mentally healthy because it is not clear the content that you have to get in your mind.
And you get stuck in a very bad cycle. And this is a cycle that many people get stuck and really get worse if you don't run away from it.
And you might get stuck in it from one place onwards. Maybe you can't come out.
That is, the sense of absurdity becomes worse, more depressed, upset, so you need more and more and more and more and more.
And that is how you come down, and lower is what you want. You don't know me. I am now. I think you are in my mind right now when I wanted to get out of the matter.
With what? With a bit of purpose and meaning to your life. And here where I feel so much they are doing badly.
I want to go to their lives. But that purpose and meaning do not make the most correct. For example, just saying that my goal is my goal.
The money is my goal to go to the money. Okaya money is not so perfect for the purpose.
But the goal is not enough to be a lot of billionaires who are depressed to commit suicide. My goal is to enjoy that. I want to do it, that it is clear that it creates a wrong cycle from one place onwards, or so much that it is very much to say.
I just want to be more vague physical condition. These are all, except for Vista, who now occupy the chip that just go for that occupation.
That is not the first goal, and not bad to go for financial freedom or a good physical condition, but not complete, and you have to have a complete package that your life really
give it a really purposeful feeling, and really, for example, the powerful life of that life is so much that I even thought stupid.
That is, the life you have made for example, the statue for yourself. For example, you have made a beautiful to forgiveness so good that it is a bit strange to say to yourself that.
Now I have an addiction to see the relationship between a few others. Because officially, that's all. It's like you are, for example, a corner, for example, to see two other people who are doing relationships just online. And I think for the best goal is to get close to your best version or your video version now. Why to get the best version of your own or the best version? Because you get the best experience of life when you have this goal. Because when you make money, it is a difference of money from the time. So he will solve the property problem of property from the time of life. But for example, the problem of your mentality cannot solve if you are not good in mental health. For example, a depressed billionaire who, for example, alcoholism. But when you have the best version of your own, you get the best part of your life. The best version of your life will be the best version of the physical condition, which is healthy with energy, has a good feeling to the world.
Its financial status is good to have a finance, which is something she's like to have 3 headphones on the other side of that version 1 that can speak well, that version 1 that has confidence, that version 1 that the status of her relationship with her family and her friend is good to see the best version, which is all good, and the best version of each of my.
But I believe that some forms are in common, which means my best version is likely to be with the idea that is in your best version. Now the idea in your mind. Those two versions have similarities. I don't think, for example, I want my best version to be confident in the way I don't really want allegiance to self-esteem nor a number of things. Naturally, you like to be finance freedom and good physical condition and mental health. You want all this now. A small details that, for example, where do you want to live or a partner adult that either they are a little different. But a huge part of it is common for us. And that is exactly the purpose of the Vito movement in this channel. Exactly the whole goal we have in the channel is to get our best version closer and close, and not to believe how much even in Kata's duration. Life can come from that absurdity. For example, I have a message from someone who has been focusing on themselves for 2 weeks, for example, to make themselves better, so much that depression has gone to Cologne. And for a member of this movement, I suggest you watch the first video of this challenge. A Pong-minute video of a perfection, maybe the studio structure, and should be different. But my feeling that the same video helps you a lot because in the same time, it can put you on a better path. So if you want to become our movement and put these negative characteristics of the flutter like caution and so on, and come to your own ideal life, that the experience of life is really good enough to get wake up at all. I will see you watch that video, and you can remember that you do not enjoy the fun you do, but the honor of the city of Shera.
Goodbye, and comment and like, please.